Okay, let me just check. All right, good evening, everyone. So welcome back to our LaSalle Sustainability Lecture Series. So this is already the 11th lecture for this particular series. So the Sustainability Lecture Series is an initiative of De La Salle University in cooperation with the International Association of De La Salle Universities. These monthly lectures are meant to engage the global LaSallian community in responding to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the Pope Francis Laudato Si encyclicals. So for tonight, before we begin with our speaker, I would like to call on Jesus Alcoba Gonzalez, the International Relations Coordinator and Postgraduate Coordinator at La Salle Campus Madrid, to give us a brief overview and welcome remarks. Jesus? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathleen. And it is my great pleasure to be here today. It is 12 noon here in Madrid. So it is my great pleasure to be here with you all today. I'm speaking from Madrid, the capital city of Spain, although it is well known because of the Real Madrid, that is a worldwide soccer team. So I'm here in Madrid, in the La Salle campus in Madrid. The La Salle campus in Madrid is a quite small campus, but we believe that small is beautiful. It is a small campus. We have around some more than 2,000 students and a big amount of postgraduate course students. And we serve different areas. One is education, of course, the traditional Lasallian area. One is education. The second one is health. We are very powerful in that, in health studies. We also have a business school. So we've got things like the MBA and programs like that. And then we have religious studies, which is our fourth area of activity. We've been very active in internationalization lately. We began this in 1994, 95, roughly. So we've been very active in international issues, mainly because we have in our team a person who is key in this internationalization plan, who is precisely today's speaker, Maria Jose Quintana, who is the International Students Coordinator and also an expert in things that are related to sustainability and all that area. So it is my great pleasure to give the floor to her so that we can enjoy her talk. And thank you very much again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for that. To formally introduce our speaker, I would like to call the Director of the Center for Engineering and Sustainable Development Research, Dr. Alvin Culaba.
Thank you, Professor Kathleen Viso, or Dean of the Gokong Wei College of Engineering at De La Salle University in Manila, Philippines, Mr. Jesus Alcoba Gonzalez of La Salle what's that? Universitario. Is that right? Centro Universitario in Madrid.
You're right.
The host, the Center for Engineering and Sustainable Development Research at De La Salle University, was established in 2003 and envisioned to make significant contributions to the growing scientific knowledge in engineering and technology. Researchers at our center are amongst the world's top scientists. To date, we have over 6,000 published articles in various high-impact journals in the area of sustainability research. Tonight, we are honored by the presence of a distinguished professor from Madrid, also a Lasallian. She's an associate professor at the Faculty of Education and Social Sciences in the area of economics and international cooperation and development at La Salle Centro Universitario in Madrid, Spain. She holds a business sciences degree from Complutense University and a master in conflict resolution and mediation from the University of Cantabria. Our distinguished speaker describes herself as a normal person who was born in the star place of the planet, aware of her impacts on Earth and the rest of the people of the world. She makes an effort to minimize her ecological footprint and promote more inclusive and sustainable ways of life, living according to her values, exercising and spreading consumption, conscious, fair trade, responsible tourism, etc. Starting from the idea of personal sustainability as an agent of change, La Salle University College extrapolates the concept of sustainability to the social sphere and specifically to the university sphere. To this end, a plan called Campus for All has been created. It's a comprehensive education plan for development and solidarity aimed at forming citizens with a global conscience committed to equality, the eradication of poverty, and sustainable development. It is developed in 3 areas present in the university: academic, volunteering, and service to people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you Professor Maria Jose Quintana Garcia. Her talk is on from personal to social sustainability. Maria, you're virtual.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and to have the possibility of speaking about sustainability. Wow, the world has changed a lot in these last years, don't you think so? If I remember about my first link to sustainability, I remember when I was small and I lived in the north of Spain, in Cantabria, and every day, or maybe every week, because our rabbits was not so big, it was smaller, but every day I went to the river to throw out the rubbish that we had in our house, because there was no truck so this is that was our habit at that time, yeah, to throw out to the river our rubbish. And I thought that was the normal thing. So I'm so happy to be here 40 years later to see that things has changed a lot. Anyway, thank you very much for the possibility. As you said, thank you for the presentation. I'm going to speak about me as well, and then about the university, and then about an international experience related to this theme. Why I'm going to speak about me first? Because I think that the sustainability has to do a lot with every person behavior. And I think that we cannot speak about sustainability in general if we don't speak about what we do in our day-by-day life. So I would like to share my screen with you.
Go ahead.
So from personal to social sustainability, about me, you presented me very well, but I would like to say something else as well. As you said, I have a degree in business, and I'm an expert in international cooperation. But also, I would like to say about me that I have a degree, or I have been trained in social education. That's a very, very important thing about me. If I have to say something about me, is that I'm a social educator. Yeah. And I will tell you why afterwards. Then about my professional experience, I am a professor of economy and social work in international cooperation. I am the responsible for sustainability at the center right now. That's a recent thing that I do now. I am the responsible for Campus for All. That's the project I'm going to talk about later at the academic level. And I am the responsible of the NGO PROIDE, which is the NGO for development of La Salle at the University College here in Madrid. And I am the international students coordinator as well. So why I said, oh, 1 second, that the education, the social education train is important for me, because my tool to transform our world into more human and sustainable is the education. And so I'm not going to speak about technology or engineer, or I'm going to speak about education. And I think that education is one of the keys, the most important keys to change values or more actions into a more sustainable world. I hope that you agree with me. So to speak about that, I would like to speak first about the reality, our reality. Then I would like to speak a little about me and about my life, which are my values and how I act in my day-by-day life. Then I will speak about the University College in Madrid, about Campus for All. And then I will speak about an international perspective of this theme through a COIL project with La Salle Arequipa in Peru. About our reality, we all know, I'm sure, that many species of animals are endangered of extinction, more than 1 million. So this is a big quantity of animals that are in danger, and also that affects our reality right now, affects also to people. It is estimated that by 2050, there will be 140 million climate refugees worldwide. So that speaks a lot about our reality in terms of people and on animals, and also another reality which is important is that more than the 50% of the GDP global depends directly or indirectly from the natural resources that generates the planet. So this is a big percentage right now, and regarding this data, we have to do something. That's why we are here for sure. And that is, we are worried about that and about our planet and about the rest of people in our planet. Another reality is that the richest 1% of the population owns more than twice as much wealth as 6,900 million people. So it's another reality that there's a big difference between the richest people and the poorest people in the world. So we have to do something about it. And right now, there's 1 of 5 children that are not going to school. Wow, this is a very big quantity. I mean, it's a very hard ratio. Also, there are 10,000 people that lose their lives because they can't afford medical care. And the 22 richest men in the world have more wealth than all women in Africa. So that means also that it has a lot with gender. what to do about that? Because I'm sure that we all know this reality, but what we can do about that, how we can start. So if I have to be honest, the first time that I found this data, it was 15 years ago or 20 years ago. And I started working in an NGO for international cooperation. And when I started there, the logo, we could say the important phrase, sentence in the organization was, if you want to change the world, first change yourself and your own house. That is Gandhi's phrase. So, wow, I said, my God, that's interesting, because it is very easy to speak about people, about what we have to do in general, about poverty, it is easy sometimes, but the difficult thing is to change what I do in my house, in my life, with my family, with my friends. So that was a big challenge for me. And of course, I took it with me and started reflecting about my values. And that's something that I do with my students, to stop and to think, which are your values? Sometimes in our day-by-day life, which is so fast, we don't stop and we think about our values. Why I am here in this world? What is important for me? How do I take my decisions? And for me, and I'm sure that for everybody, that's something that it is studied, and I mean, many research is related to this. I mean, the values are the same in all cultures and in all historical moments. So it is the love, of course. Love for people, for my family, in my case, for my family, these are my children, for my friends, for my neighbors, but also I like people in general. I love people. So I am also worried about the people that is not close to me. I really am worried about the social justice. And about me also, I told you that I am from the north of Spain. So I was born in a very green area. So I love nature. It couldn't be in another way. This is Lierganes, one of the places of my origin in Cantabria, in Spain. And as you see, everything is very green and very beautiful. So I love nature and I need it in my life. Another values which are important for me are the health. Of course, traveling is very important for me. Otherwise, I couldn't be in the international office. Freedom is important. And freedom related, I will tell you later about, I always can decide yes or no when I have a decision in front of me, or nearly always. For me, it's very important, my community, my beliefs, of course, but also I know that I am not perfect and I don't want to be perfect. And I will tell you also later why. What are my actions? Depending on these values, I act in a way in my life. And you know, after 20 years of having this idea of, if you want to change your world, change yourself first, I can say that I have changed many, many things in my life. Of course, this is a path, yeah. Of course, I couldn't change my life in 1 month. I did many things that were against the sustainability. But little by little in these 20 years, I've changed many things. And I am very happy. And I could say that I am a little more sustainable. Of course, I am not perfect, as I said, but I think that I am more sustainable. And my family is also, I mean, I try not to have a big impact or the smallest possible, being in my normal life here in Madrid. Regarding people or love, I really try to be, I am an expert also in conflict resolution. So I really think that to know how to solve problems, it's very important, and to impulse the culture of peace. And for that, it's very important, the cooperation, the dialogue. And I try to, of course, to experience it with my family in the lessons. And that's very important, to speak and to have place, to give moments to students, to dialogue, and to have a democracy in a way. Then about many things that I do related to people or to love, it is very important for me. I mean, and in our reality, how do I buy my day-by-day things? Food, clothes, cosmetics, hygiene and cleaning items, technology. So there's a big thing that I started to do 20 years ago, that it was to check the label. So in that case, I can imagine many things, or I know many things regarding this product, where it's done. I mean, every time that I check the label, if it is made in Spain or in South America or in China or in India, I know many things, and that's my responsibility to know how these products has been done. Yeah, that's related to the human rights of people who have been working in these companies, and also about the impact on the environment. So for me, to have a conscious consume, it is very, very important to check the level. What about my health, mine and the planet one? Again, I relate that to the consumption and conscious eating, for example. And I pay attention to the non-transgenic products, the organic products, the food sovereignty, the local trade, and why when I go to the market, I choose natural things. I like cooking, and I don't choose pre-cooked products. Yeah, because I really like to cook and to eat, respecting the environment and again the rest of people in the world. Because of course, if I buy a banana, for example, I can choose buying a banana from Canary Islands, which is in Spain, or a banana that's coming from Canada. But if it's coming from Canada, the footprint, the carbon footprint is a lot bigger. And I really don't know, or I know, what about my clothes? When I buy clothes, I know that there are many of these clothes are made in India, Morocco, Mexico, which are the conditions of the people of who are working there. And also, what about the toxics in my clothes, in the things that I eat? That's why I try to buy as much as possible organic things, organic food or organic clothes. Yeah, regarding people and environment. Another action that I have been doing and changing all these years, it has been the nature related to my ecological footprint. What is the energy that I use? Is alternative? I mean, it's a clean energy or not? What's the transport that I use? What about the heating, the water, the wood or the paper that I am using? It is coming from sustainable forest? Not? What about the heating in my house? Do I, small things, you know, I am in my house with short clothes and with the heating very high, or I do prefer to be with a jacket and with the heating a little lower. Anyway, these are many things that I'm sure that we all know about recycling, about waste, about not to buy so many things only if I need it. Yeah, just to reduce the quantity of things that I buy. That's a big thing. What about the community? I really try with my students and also with my children, with the people around, to educate with critical thinking. That's not easy, but sometimes it is easy for me to educate my children to be obedient, but I like not to be so to take the easy way, and I try them to think critically, and I try to ask them for their opinion. I mean, participation for me, it's very important with the people around and in my classes, of course. Yeah, and for me as well, it is very important to participate, and I impulse this a lot in my classes. That's why, for example, in the classes, I will speak about that later, but I ask my students to do many things about fair trade, about conscious consumption, or all these things out of the classes for the whole community in La Salle University College. I myself, I do something for the gender equality, for the solidarity, for the volunteer work. I am a volunteer, and I have been a volunteer for many years. What about traveling? If you see, all these things is everything that we do from the morning until the end of the day when we go to bed. Yeah, everything that I do in the morning from the breakfast until I go to bed again has to do with the rest of the world. Yeah, because we are, of course, in a globalized world and economy. So that's why when I started to work on that, I tried to check everything that I do in my day-by-day life and try to change to sustainable. What about my leisure time or my traveling? I am responsible when I am traveling. Is it my leisure linked to shopping? I try to travel and to impulse the local economy when I travel. For example, I try, or I prefer to go by train, not always because I'm not perfect. For example, another thing that I like to do is to share my house. In summer, we are a big community in La Salle. So if we start sharing our houses in summer, I'm sure that we will save a lot of money for our planet and a lot of resources. We have many possibilities to do that. And what about my money? Where do I have my money? Do I have it in a bank, in an ethical bank? Do I know what the banks do with my money? Do I know if the banks, the traditional bank or not, what do they do with my money? Do they trade with my money with weapons or fossil fuels? Or the projects that I put my money in, the banks are doing something with my money in favor of people or environment? So there's an alternative. There's ethical bank. Do we use it? Now, the freedom that I was saying to you before, I'm always free to decide, for example, if I want a new phone every year. Yeah. Or because we all know that the obsolescence is there. It is because of the fashion, and also it can be because of the programmed obsolescence. But For example, in my case, my phone now, it has many problems with the battery. And I could easily say, I'm going to change my phone right now, but I prefer to stop because I know that all the technology things are related with the coltan, which is a product that is used, that is causing big conflict in El Congo, in Africa. So I am related to this as well, to the conflicts in the world. And imperfection, I am not perfect. I cannot change the world alone. And of course, sometimes I have a bath instead of shower. So many small people who in many small places do many small things, we can face or change the world. And I think that this is a sentence of La Salle that I'm very happy to share here. So I have a question here. Are you willing to sacrifice your money, your time, or your comfort in favor of a more sustainable and fair world? That's a question, because we all know how to do it. But are we willing to sacrifice money, time, or comfort? I think this is the big question that we have to think, all of us. Now I'm going to speak about the university here in Madrid. And CSU La Salle, La Salle University College here in Madrid, we have created 6 years ago a project that's called Campus para Todos, or Campus for All, that is related to everything that I have been speaking now, but at the university. And I will tell you now, of course, we are aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, the Global Compact on Education, and the Laudato Action Platform in IALU, La Salle universities. Campus para Todos is part of the strategic plan of the university. And I think this is a very important key for sustainability in the university. Of course, if it's not important for the strategic plan of the university, that's very, very difficult. It affects to the whole life of the campus, and it takes places in 3 areas: academic, voluntary work, and service to people. What we try to do is to have an umbrella and to do everything related to sustainability or to inclusion, we could say, under the umbrella of Campus para Todos. And I would like to tell you some results, some things that we have been doing during these 6 years, or even more. We have applied for a fair trade university because we have a group here in La Salle University College. We are a permanent group of 5 people who are working here for Campus para Todos. We are people from different departments, but we have something in common, that is the sustainability and the human development. That's why we every year do many things related to these 2 themes. And we have a group of, we have introduced the fair trade in the cafe, for example, in the cafeteria, or we do many conferences related to ethical banking. We have done these conferences related to ethical banking at the university, trafficking with women, COVID and homeless people, for example, circular economy, social economy, etc. And we have done many performances or experiences here at the campus related to the conscious consumption, a camping. We organized a camping for international cooperation here at the campus, acts against gender violence every year. Here at La Salle, there is a commission that is done especially for the gender violence and the gender education. Some other actions that we have done are related to PROIDE, which is the NGO for development of La Salle. As for example, True Happiness does not cost money. Join their struggle for the people who are empowered. Women now and always protagonists of change. Education is our tool. Every day is Black Friday for many people in the world. This Friday is Black Friday. So for many people in the world, the Friday is black, also Saturday, Sunday, and every day because of the lack of rights that they have. And our actions that we can say is that every year we send 80 people as volunteers, as minimum. Of course, we have natural spaces on the center and various actions in favor of environment sustainability here in the campus. We offer a clinical service of solidarity work in the campus for people who are not having resources to pay the physiotherapy, for example, or the occupational therapy, or then we have scholarships for students who cannot pay the total of their enrollment. Also, we have different agreements with organizations and enterprises related to these themes. And we have created a service to attend disability care here at the campus. That's very new. But I would like to speak, I'm sure that we all the universities, we do many things related to the life in the campus. But I would like to speak about what we do as well in the academical part. How can we include the sustainability and all these themes, gender, interculturality, social justice? How can we include that in the curricula? That's the most difficult thing, and maybe the most interesting thing about Campus para Todos regarding these areas. How we convince or how we do for that, so all teachers, professors here at the University College, taking account all these areas, things in their curricula, in their day-by-day life, in the day-by-day lessons. So that will be education for development, and we do it through the research, training, sensitization, and advocacy. And especially what we do is that we use a questionnaire for teachers, for professors. So we ask them, how do you include inclusion in your classes and in your curriculum, in your subject? What about gender equality? Do you have a gender vocabulary when you are in your classes? Did you pay attention to the bibliography, the references in your classes, in the books that you are using in your classes, in your subjects? Did you take in account the gender equality? Did you take in account the interculturality in the I can't say this word, bibliography, or the references? Do you take in account different cultures? Do you promote the critical thinking in your class? Do you promote the conscious consumption in your subject, in your class? Do you promote the peace in your class? How do you cope with the conflicts in your class? Do you work on the human rights? Do you work on the Millennium Development Goals? And that's maybe in education, it can be easier to include these things, these items. But what about in physiotherapy or occupational therapy or transmedia narratives? Anyway, we do that in the two faculties, in education, the Faculty of Education, and in the Faculty of Health, to include all these things. Right now, the 20% of the subjects that we offer here in Madrid are Campus para Todos. We give them a stamp, so everybody here in the campus knows that these subjects are Campus para Todos, Campus for all, and that they are included, the teachers have included, or the subject is impulsing, we could say, the gender equality, the interculturality into their curriculum. Another data, for example, is that the 45% of preschool teacher education degree is Campus para Todos, or the 25% of occupational therapy are subjects Campus para Todos. So here is my question. Is your university willing to invest resources and workers in favor of a fair and more sustainable university? You will tell me later. So the third point of view that I would like to speak about is the international perspective. We are promoting COIL, and especially I am promoting COIL with my students in the subject of economy and international cooperation with social workers and social educators. And we are involved in a COIL with La Salle Arequipa in Peru. That's not easy because we have 7 hours of difference. And this is the biggest issue for students to collaborate together. These are some of the students and myself and the teacher, Miguel Mendoza, who is the coordinator for international relations in La Salle Arequipa, Peru. And also he's the professor of students of administration who are studying social corporate into administration. So what do? We have these 2 degrees involved. One of them is business or administration in Peru. And right now, 200 students have been involved in a COIL project with Spain, Madrid. So 200 students of business from Peru have been involved in these COIL projects, and 200 students of social work from Spain, from La Salle University College. I'm speaking about my subject, economy. Yeah? Of course, there are more subjects which are involved in a COIL project. So what do? We, as you can imagine, we have found a curricular and interdisciplinary subject that is interested for business and social work students that are nothing to do one and the other, or not nothing, but something. And the things that we have working that are interested for the 2 universities and all students are the fair trade, for example. So we are working, La Salle Arequipa and La Salle Madrid, with PROM Peru, which is the Commission for the Promotion of Peru for Export and Tourism in the area of fair trade. And we are in the 3rd edition of COIL. Which are the objectives? Of course, the intercultural competences for the students, but especially also the scientification of fair trade and the identification of the profile of the fair trade producer and consumer, and identify meeting points. We are on that project right now. We have created a questionnaire just to identify which is which are the characteristics of the producer of fair trade and which are the characteristics of the consumer of the fair trade. We have, it's interesting because we are working on that about which is the age that is the biggest consumer of fair trade. What about the gender? What about the education, the incomes? which is the knowledge or the assessment of the principles, of the 10 principles of the fair trade for these people, which is the motivation and intention of the producer and the consumer on the fair trade. What about which is the behavior, and which are the opinions of these people regarding the fair trade part? We are working on that, which is very, very interesting. Just to extrapolate what I said before about my day-by-day life, in my case, then the University of La Salle University College here in Madrid, and now to work with about this theme with La Salle Arequipa, because of course Peru is a big producer of fair trade products, and Spain is a consumer every time bigger of fair trade products. So that's about you. Are you, as professor, willing to do an extra effort with COI to educate for a fairer and more sustainable world? Because this is also an extra effort, but very, very interesting for me. So thank you very much for your attention. This is my mail in case you want to use it. I hope that it was clear. And of course, I sent some questions. I would like to listen to you, and of course, to listen your questions or your doubts or whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Maria. It was a very interesting presentation. So I'd like to invite our audience to send in their questions through the chat box, or if you want to direct your question directly to Maria, so just kindly do the raise hand feature and you can address it directly to her. Okay, we actually have one question. This comes from Raymond Tan. So thank you for your talk. Does the university promote low meat diets? It is a simple but not so easy way to reduce footprints and promote good health.
And sorry, I didn't understand. So if we promote what?
Low meat diets, like for example, in the cafeteria, or just to reduce the consumption of meat products.
Totally. I mean, of course, we are working on that as well, on the diet, and we work about the reduced meat and fish. Of course, that we work on that. I'm not an expert on nutrition myself, so it is what I invite the students is to search about that. And also yesterday I was speaking to the students, because also there are many problems about the diet, about many illness related to this, and it's a very polemic thing. But of course, this idea about reducing meat is always there, and I ask them to go to an expert to treat that question. But for example, we of course impulse the I don't know very well how to say that in English, but to eat the fresh vegetables or fruit that is from the moment in the country, for example. Yeah, because right now, for example, here in Spain, when we go to a supermarket, we have everything, and we don't pay attention, or we don't know if that's something that's coming from Spain and is a temporal fruit or not, and we don't check which is the origin of that, for example.
Okay, thank you for that. So the next question comes from Biswajit Sarkar, who is a professor from the Yonsei University in South Korea. So his question is, how do we decide the green dress by maintaining sustainability?
How do we decide about the green dress?
Yes.
Here in Spain, we can find organic dress, but it's not so popular either in all shops. But of course, if we go to a shop of fair trade, we know that that's normally ecological, and also it has respect of course, is fair. It is fair trade. It respects the people, the human rights. But also, I look at the label, because many times the label gives me a lot of information, and I try to consume as much as possible in local places in Spain, in my case. Yeah, because I know that the most of products made in Spain respect the human rights. Of course, not all the ecological, the environment, but if it is organic and ecological, and also it's from Spain, in my case, I know that the most of times these two things, environment and human rights, are respected.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question comes from Dr. Jonna Baquillas. So thank you so much for your presentation, and this is very much aligned with her research work. So in your advocacy experience of fostering sustainable consumption, are you able to address the attitude-behavior gap when the person is aware of environmental issues to be addressed and actions that can be done but is not committing to it? How are you able to convert them?
Interesting. For example, with my students, what I do is that, of course, we talk about that from a theoretical point of view, but then they have to do things. Yeah, the action is very, very important. So as obligatory works in the subjects, I ask them that they have to do an action at the university. That could be promoting fair trade coffee at the university. That could be to organize a second-hand shop about clothes. We are doing that now, these 2 weeks, for example. So I ask them to do actions, and not only in the class that we do it as well, but also out of the class. So for sure, that is a process. Yeah, for me, it has been a process of 20 years. And now I can go to the class and I am an example for them, not in everything, of course, yeah, in many things, because I did it in my life. So, and then little by little, they change. This year, I had a student who came to me in the 2nd year, and I asked her, how are you going? And she said to me, thank you, because I transformed totally my way of buying things, of shopping. I don't have a pressure anymore about buying everything, the last clothes. So many of them, they feel more relaxed because they don't have so much pressure anymore because of the fashion. So I found people, because of actions, I found people, I think that theory is important, but actions promoted in the class are very, very important, because on that way, they start doing things.
Yeah, thank you. Professor Sarkar actually has a follow-up question with regards to his earlier question on green dress. What do you think is the impact of this on other textile industries?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question again.
Professor Sarkar initially asked regarding the green dress on maintaining sustainability. Okay. Yeah. So his question is whether it does not destroy other textile industries.
Yes, that's the question. That's why every time after my exposition, after every of them, I ask questions, because we have to sacrifice things. Sure, for me, it will be a lot easier to eat all the pepper, all foods that I want anytime in the year. But I checked the mango and I said, it's coming from Chile. Wow. I have to wait until the mango is coming from Spain. Yeah, and that's an effort for me because I love mangoes. Or that's why I think it is very important to sacrifice. And that's the question that I sent to you. I mean, are we willing to sacrifice comfort, money, resources? And it is, I suppose, the textile thing. I understand that give many jobs to many people, but I'm sure that it is needed for people and for the world and for the economy that is done in another way. So it needs a transformation little by little. So I hope that one day all companies would be fair trade, and that thing is not popular anymore because that's the normal thing. I'm a very positive person, as you see. But of course, that means to sacrifice things that maybe, I mean, to sacrifice the economy in favor of human rights and sustainability, I mean, environment.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that I guess that really is a challenge, trying to find that particular balance. There's another question in the chat box, but it's in Spanish. So let me see. Okay, this one comes from Rogerio Paulo Tovo. So the question is, a palestra podera ser disponibilizada? Okay, I didn't understand that at all.
No, if I had to be honest, I should check that.
Yes.
It is in the chat now, yeah?
Yes, it was in the chat, yeah.
A palestra podrás... I don't understand, sorry. I think that maybe it's Portuguese or I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't understand the question. A palestra podrá ser disponibilizada. And maybe it's the PowerPoint, so that if I can search, or I don't know exactly what it's about. But of course, any of the...
Yes, he was asking about the PowerPoint presentation.
Good. Totally. The presentation can be, I share my presentation, of course.
You can probably just send it to me, and then I can be the one to send it to all participants who actually joined us tonight.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And also I could share the questionnaire because to use with the teachers, with the professors, because that also it had a process, because at the beginning we said, okay, we are going, I mean, I think it's very useful because it's very concrete and it's very easy to extrapolate to any other university. So I will share also the questionnaire for Campus para Todos.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So maybe I just have a question, Maria. What do you think, in your experience, what has been the most effective way of communicating sustainability to your students? I mean, that translates really into action.
Look, for me, the two important things is this, to speak about the reality. I mean, about to think on that in a theoretical part. But for me, the most important is that they do things again. They have actions. So if I ask them to go to their closest fair trade shop to ask for buying something, that's small change that little by little it will be bigger. And also something that I do that is working very well for me in my classes is that instead of me telling them, for example, all problems about cosmetics or about energy or what we eat and all these areas, instead of being me who I tell them about all problems and about everything, I ask them to prepare a workshop to tell the rest of people in the class about the problem and about alternatives, sustainable alternatives. And for them, it's very good because they have a very good time. They search about it. They present their conclusions to the class. And for me, it's so good because instead of me telling them, they search about it and they tell the rest of people. and it's a lot more participative as well, and for them it's very, very even, how do you say, they have fun doing it, and they also learn a lot.
Okay, thank you. And do you practice this for university students or for graduate students, or both?
For pre-graduate students, for graduate students, not for postgraduate students.
Okay.
Not in my case.
All right, thank you. So are there any other questions from our audience? So I guess that's it. So thank you so much, Maria, for sharing your experience with us. And it's really a pleasure to have you in our sustainability lecture. And I hope that we can have more from your institution in our future lecture series. So before we end the session, I would just like to share our next lecture series, which will happen in December. Now, we usually do this at the last Wednesday of each month, but since December is Christmas time, so I don't think we can do it on the last week. So we're moving it a bit earlier. So this will happen on December 15. We're having it at 8 a.m. in the morning for those of us in the Philippines. The lecture is about food for thought, green circular bioeconomy via nutrient recycling. So if you're interested to join us, please register at bit.ly/DLSU12. And I hope that I will see you in our last lecture for the year. And for those of you who have seen in our chat box, so kindly send your evaluation. Just click on the link, which I have indicated in the chat box. It's bit.ly/eval_DLSU11. So with that, I'd like to close the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you again for our speaker, Maria, and of course, Jesus, for introducing your institution. Good night, everyone. Good afternoon for those of you, and good morning maybe for others. So thank you, guys. See you next time.
Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kay and Alvin and
Thanks,
Raymond.
everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Kibanko.
Thank you, Dr.